Welcome to another edition of the Mad Twins Film Class, Dreams and Nightmares Revisited. Today we'll talk about some of the techniques used in making and then restoring John the Salesman. In other words, how to make a visually intriguing movie for no money, and how to fix some of your mistakes with freeware editing programs if need be. Just about every filmmaker knows about storyboarding, but not everyone does it for various reasons. And that's okay if you have a natural sense of good imagery or if your movie doesn't really need it for some reason, but for the rest of us, we need to get practice in. You definitely need to organize a shot list either way, otherwise you can waste time stumbling around to get what you need or grabbing tons of versions of shots you already have. A lot of filmmakers say that you don't have to be able to draw to make storyboards, but I find that it does help a lot. For some reason, I just have a tough time getting invested in stick figure drawings that don't tell you anything about where you are or what the scene is about, but that's not true of everyone. When we made John the Salesman, I storyboarded about half of the movie using a computer program that allows you to build virtual sets and puppeteer digital actors. It was limited, but allowed me to get a feel for how to place the camera and characters in a fairly realistic space, but without dicking around on set with real people waiting on me. What I've used on later movies is just taking a point-and-shoot digital camera into whatever location you're going to film in and just taking lots and lots of photos. Play around with angles, perspectives, lighting as much as you can, until you get to something that's achievable but distinctive. And be generous with those photos. You can take a practically infinite number of them, and you can just get rid of them after you're done the movie. Anyway, 5 years went by, and while I was satisfied with the movie overall, there were a few things that I really wanted to fix. Some of the changes were fairly straightforward, like replacing a piece of guitar music, for instance. Other stuff needs a bit more work for various reasons. For instance, a lot of lines needed to be remixed anyway because they were hard to hear in the original version. But one that needed special attention was for this long shot in the street. Sadly, I couldn't do anything about Alicia's line, but I was able to dub Lino's line over by using the audio from a second take. By the way, I did all the restoration work on this movie with Windows Movie Maker, which doesn't normally let you splice audio from one clip onto another, so you might be wondering how I did that. Well, I just plugged in this MP3 recorder and then imported the file as if I was bringing in music, which Movie Maker is designed to let you do. One of these recorders costs around $100 at most electronics stores, but you might be able to get it for less if you know where to look. Another bit of hot rodding was to go to a website called windowsmoviemakers.net to save some user-made effects like adjusting contrasts at all. Obviously, you don't have to do this if you have cheap access to a professional editing program like Vegas or Final Cut, but if you're stuck with this, then it is easy to find ways to make the built-in programs work for you. I made little tweaks to the brightness and contrast throughout the movie, but the most work was definitely needed on the brainwashing scene because it was so dark to begin with. While I couldn't capture all the raw video for the restoration, I did capture enough of the brainwashing that I could play with that and then use it as a reference, which is a really big deal in something like this. Which of course leads me to the elephant in the room. All of this would have been a hell of a lot easier if the movie was exposed properly in the first place. What can I say, we were overconfident back then. A lot of cameras today have meters that tell you when you're too dark or too bright, but if you don't have one of those, here's a trick that I learned. Carry a big piece of white paper with you, and after you've set your lights however you want, put that where you want your subject to be and point it at the camera while it's on the auto exposure. That should make sure you're only as bright as you really need to be. As long as you keep all of this in mind, making surreal movies on the cheap is very easy. So, go to it. Seriously, why are you still playing this video?